Why not St. Augustine, Florida? You're probably doing some research right now and are thinking about moving to somewhere in St. Augustine, Florida. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you a map tour of St. Augustine, Florida using Google Maps. So, I'm going to show you the new construction areas, some areas that you'll probably be interested in depending on what you're into. So make sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to give you a little secret of a map that shows you where all the new construction stuff is happening, and you can hopefully take full advantage of that map as you do your research. All right, let's go check it out. Hey, if you're interested in moving to St. Augustine, Florida, or somewhere within St. Johns County, then definitely hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date in all the lifestyle and market trends here in St. Augustine, Florida. My name is Manny Ortega, along with my beautiful wife and partner, Carolina Ortega. We took a leap of faith and we left Boston, Massachusetts with our family, and we moved down here to St. Augustine. And let me tell you, we absolutely love St. Augustine. Hey, and check this out. If you're here right now shopping for a home, or if you're still doing your research and you're 12 months out or anywhere in between, definitely hit us up. Shoot us an email, text us, give us a buzz. All that information is going to be in the description box below. We would honestly love to hear your story and help you make a seamless transition down here to Florida. All right, so let's go right into it. So we're going to show you a map tour of what's happening, what's going on in St. Augustine. I hear it's the oldest inhabited town in America. Is there a new area in St. Augustine where I can buy a house? Where's the new construction going on? We're going to cover all of that in this video. So before we go on, I want to show you something. So because when I moved down here, I was a bit confused as to where the St. Augustine city line was, right? Where am I in St. Augustine, or am I in St. Augustine City? Like, am I in St. Johns County? Am I in St. John's? It was a little weird at first when I moved down here. So I'm going to bore you a little bit with some nomenclature or some geography, all right, to show you exactly where St. Augustine is. As you do your research, you're probably going to start off with Google, right? So you'll Google St. Augustine. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to Google St. Augustine, boom. You'll see that St. Augustine comes up on this map. So as you do your research, you're like, hey, I'm going to move to St. Augustine. This is what Google gives you. It gives you this city here, right? So let's kind of zoom in a little bit, right? This is where I'm at up here. Right, so you'll see here that this is St. Augustine, but you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I thought, is this all St. Augustine? Is this St. Augustine? So this was what I was confused about this when I first moved down here. I'm like, wait, where am I moving to? So if you do the same thing, if I say St. Augustine Beach, you'll see an actual limit here. You'll see it has actual defined borders between St. Augustine and St. Augustine Beach. So if I zoom out here, let's zoom out a little bit. This is St. Augustine over here, and this is St. Augustine Beach, right? If I go back, you'll see it again. All right. Here's St. Augustine, right? And then here's St. Augustine Beach. Now, why do I highlight that? Well, if we go to the zip code, UnitedStatesZipCodes.org, and you type in St. Augustine, Florida. Let's see what comes up. So you'll see here that according to United States zipcodes.org, there's 6 zip codes associated with St. Augustine. And you see what Google gives us originally here. So, but if we click on that, these are the 6 zip codes that are associated with the city or the area known as St. Augustine. So you'll see at the bottom, this is a P.O. box, but for the most part, you have this area right here that is associated. So if you click on it, you'll see that this area is also known as St. Augustine. If you go back, this area here is also St. Augustine because this is St. Augustine Beach, right? And then this is St. Augustine, right? So you're like, wait a minute, where am I moving to again? This is St. Augustine. I created this map to show you exactly what St. Augustine is all about. So obviously you see that there's St. Augustine City is just not St. Augustine. There's more to St. Augustine. So using these zip codes, I created a quick map, and you'll see here that this is the red line is the St. Augustine City, what you get when you Google St. Augustine. And then this other area in blue is actually the rest of Greater St. Augustine. And then the area in black is St. Johns County. So you'll see, for example, that Nocatee is in a different zip code, 32081. And then you have Fruit Cove, Junington Creek, and Rivertown in another part, okay? So as you do your research, you really want to ask yourself, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for a house near the water? Okay, so is that in the intercoastal? Is that on the beach? Is that near the river? Okay. Another question you might want to ask yourself is, do you want a home that's closer to the historical area where there's going to be more foot traffic, more tourists, but the energy and the buzz is going to be a little bit different than the rural areas outside of the city? Another question you might want to ask yourself is, do you want to live in a subdivision, right, where you're likely going to have to pay HOA fees and sometimes CDD fees, right? So that's something that you want to think about. Do you want to live in a community like that, or do you want to have your own house sort of off a specific road where you're not going to be found and you want your own space? You know, you're coming from the city, you want more land and more space, then that's something you want to talk about or think about as well. You're coming down here, you know, from wherever you're coming, and you're like, listen, I have a lot of cash. I want a big house. I want a brand new construction. I want that fresh car smell for my house, right? The new car smell. We all love that new car smell. Do you want that for your house, right? Or you might be, like I came from Boston, and the houses down there were like made in the 1915, 1930, 50s, right? So these are old houses. So for me, a house that was made in 1990, I'm like, that's a brand new house. Or, you know, 2000, that's a brand new house for me. So are you coming down like that, where you're like, you're okay with having a relatively new house, or do you want a brand spanking new construction, right? Those are all questions you want to ask yourself as you do your research. So now that you are asking yourself that question, let's take a look at what are the areas that you want to explore within St. Augustine as you consider moving down here. So I broke this down into 7 different areas as we look at St. Augustine. And now this map that I created, you'll see the city of St. Augustine here, which is what Google says. When you Google St. Augustine, that's what you're going to get. But then again, you have the greater St. Augustine. So the first area that we're going to look at is the 210 corridor. So you see 210 here. You see all these spaces here that are not green. These are all good subdivisions, master plan communities that you want to take a look at, okay? So there you have places like Shearwater. You also have places like Southampton. And then you also have the St. John's Country Club. And then also parts of Silverleaf as well. So this area for me is a little bit quieter because it's away from the traffic that's in downtown St. Augustine, okay? The good thing about this 210 corridor area is that you're basically right next to Jacksonville. So there's Jacksonville, here's the 210 area. You're about 25 minutes away. So if you're working out of Jacksonville, this could be a good area for you because, you know, you're close to Jacksonville. Your commute's gonna be shorter, and it's a great community there. The next area that you want to take a look at is the World Golf Village area. So this, if you look at my map here, this is the World Golf Village area. So you have a lot of subdivisions there. And then obviously World Golf Village has a bunch of subdivisions within it. So for example, the neighborhood is one, Heritage Landing is another, the King and Bear, obviously that's a big one. And it has 2 golf courses. It has the King and Bear, and then it also has the Slammer and Squire. What's great about this area is that the World Golf Village 95 runs right through it. So it's basically right in between Jacksonville and St. Augustine. So if you wanted to go do the touristy stuff, you could enjoy the beaches, you know, down in the south, where, you know, St. Augustine Beach, Crescent Beach, Butler Beach, or you can also go up north too if you worked, for example, in Jacksonville. It's a good central location. What's good about this area is that there's a Buc-ee's and a, well, depending how you look at it, right? There's a Buc-ee's and a Costco there. So the traffic there is a little bit heavier. I don't mind. I live in the World Golf Village area. I don't mind it. I actually enjoy the buzz because I kind of miss the city feel a little bit. So I feel like it's a little bit in between not being too crazy and city-like and a lot of traffic, and just being enough. So for example, the vacation times, you know, that area gets flooded because people are taking vacations and people are stopping by at Buc-ee's. So just keep that in mind as you consider the World Golf Village area. The World Golf Village area has a bunch of subdivisions that you can choose from. So for example, you have Markland, you have Bannon Lakes, Segovia, Morabella, and a bunch of others that are in that area. So if you want to take a look at World Golf Village, you got a lot of options. The next area you want to take a look at is the Route 16 and 95 area. So if we take a look at our map here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So this area right here, this is Route 16. You'll see it come down here. That's Route 16. And right here, there's a bunch of construction happening too as well. The premium outlets are there. So that's a nice, like, this is a new construction right there, Grand Oaks by Pulte Homes. That area is an area you want to take a look at. You have Whisper Ridge, Encanta, And then some new developments, like I said earlier, some new subdivisions that are coming out, like Grand Oaks and Terrapine. So as you get further down Route 16, the traffic gets a little heavier because of all the new constructions that's happening there. And obviously the three routes converging, Route 16, Route 208, and then Route 95. The next area you should definitely check out is the Route 1 Palencia area. So if we zoom in here, if you look at my map here, you'll see this is Palencia here. And then all around, this is Route 1 down here. And so there's new construction happening down Route 1 that you would want to take a look at if you want to move down here. So what's good about this area is that it's a straight shot. If you look at my map again here, zoom out. It's a straight shot, Route 1, if you want to go north towards Jacksonville and Nocatee area, and then also south to St. Augustine, the historical St. Augustine area, and St. Augustine Beach. I personally love this area. Down Route 1, you have several subdivisions. Obviously, Palencia is the biggest one there, but then you have Las Calinas, Madera, Eagle Creek, and there's some new construction there that's happening as well. So like Cordova Palms and North Creek are new constructions that you should take a look at. So with these four areas that I just mentioned, what you're gonna get. So let's go over them. So you have the 210 corridor, you have the World Golf Village area, which is right around here. You have the Route 16 and 95 area. And then you have the Palencia Route 1 area. So with all four of these areas, you're gonna get houses that were built from 2000 to the present day for the most part. Now, as you move south, you're gonna get older homes. Now again, older means relatively speaking to where you're coming from. Down in the city, you mostly get single-story homes, and you'll see two-story homes, but they're mostly the mansions that are near the water. And obviously anything here, small or large, is gonna cost you a pretty penny just because, hey, you're in the city. So it's interesting seeing how the houses are set up. You'll see like what looks like an old home that's been renovated maybe from the outside or the inside, and then right next to it you'll see like a big, beautiful house. But this area is absolutely beautiful. You'll see that mix of like, luxury homes and not so pretty looking homes. The other thing too you want to keep in mind is that since these homes are older, you're not going to get that open floor concept, that new style of homes that we're seeing that the new constructions are making. You're going to get a 3-2, a 3-1, a 2-2 maybe. So it's a lot smaller, and you're gonna pay a pretty penny for it. And maybe for the same amount of price, you can get a much bigger home somewhere else in the new St. Augustine, greater St. Augustine area. So keep that in mind as you think about moving down here. Now, one thing I'll say is, hey, listen, if you can get something down there, it's gonna be a cash cow, just because of the tourists that flock the area. If you could turn it into an Airbnb, or like a summer vacation for yourself and then rent it out, whatever you guys want to do, but that area is gorgeous and you should definitely consider it. So St. Augustine South. So now this area, the homes were built from the late the 1970s to the late 1990s, and you'll notice the way it was set up. It looks more like a New York style. If you look at my map, where it's squared and it looks like the roads are set up like that. So what's cool about this area, I feel it feels more rural in a sense that I feel like that there's more trees there. I think they did a good job of leaving some of the trees, and it just feels less cookie cutter, if that makes sense, right? So the houses, the way the houses were built, the materials, the colors that they use, there's a little bit more of a rural feel down in St. Augustine South. So that's St. Augustine South, and if you go further down, you get St. Augustine Shores. Now, St. Augustine Shores is newer than St. Augustine South, so you get a little bit of the same feel with St. Augustine Shores, but they did a better job of making it sprawl out a little more. But the area feels the same way. So the St. Augustine Shores houses, they do feel like St. Augustine South. They do feel a little bit outdated compared to the newer stuff. And again, when I mean outdated, I mean like relative to where you're coming from. And so what's cool about that area, there's a new area called San Sabino, that's a new subdivision within there, which has a very similar King and Bear type style of homes. Down at St. Augustine Shores, there's also a new construction called by KB Homes that's right across from San Sabino, and it's called Sable Estates, which looks like they're gonna do several homes there. St. Augustine South and St. Augustine Shores are about 15 to 20 minutes away from downtown St. Augustine. So now, I didn't mention all the subdivisions in St. Augustine, but this is just a quick way to wrap your head around St. Augustine. And all of these areas have their own unique feel to them. They have their own pros and cons. And so you just have to prioritize what's important to you as you make a decision of where you want to live in these areas. So I'm going to share with you this map. I've shared this map before, but I think it's super helpful. And it basically shows you all the new construction that's happening in St. Johns County. So you'll see here that most of the new construction is to the northwest area, and some of the smaller construction is happening here down in the southeast. Definitely take a look at that new construction map as you do your research. And you know, if I were to summarize, you know, what's new, what's old, or where the new construction is happening, and how to describe St. Augustine. Again, this is the 7 areas, and I'm just going to show you my map here. So you have the 210 corridor, you have the World Golf Village area, the Route 16 to 95 area, you have Palencia and Route 1. You have St. Augustine City. Now, what I failed to mention in St. Augustine City, there are people knocking down old homes and creating new ones. So just know that the new construction is at an individual level, not necessarily a master plan community or like a huge developer coming in and knocking things out and cutting down trees. And then the next area is St. Augustine South and St. Augustine Shores. So those are the 7 areas that I would, you know, take a look at as you do your research coming down here. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, give it a thumbs up. That definitely helps you with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe if you're looking for more information. And let me know in the comments, you know, if you live in the area, hey, you missed out this area, call me out on it. Or if you have any questions about, hey, I've heard of this area, can you talk to me more about that? Can you do a video on that? Would love to help you in any way that I can. God bless you and stay safe.